And zooming on the number line to demonstrate a decimal will also help students understand the place values better, how the 1/10 is generated, or how 100th is generated. So for example, I'm using 1.0738 to show you how to do this, and the one on the practice is on the study guide actually is 1.0228. So hopefully after this example you can zoom in on the number line to find where 1.0228 is. So let's start with the number 1.0738, and the 1 means ones place, and tenths and hundredths and thousandths and 10,000ths. So we're going to start with the ones place, and so the number, so the first number line you're going to use the tick marks will be whole numbers. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we just need a few because the number is actually between 1 and 2. So you're going to have, so when we look at the whole number, the ones place, and there's a 1 there. So that means this number must be big, at least 1. But it's actually bigger than 1 because it has more digits here. So we're going to put the number between 1 and 2. And so on the number line, I mean, you don't really have to label all of these, and then you actually, if you want, you can just label the first interval because we know the number is between 1 and 2. Okay, so let's put on this interval for between 1 and 2, we are going to, well, sorry, we know the number is between 1 and 2, but where is it on this interval? We don't know because there are no tick marks here. So we can only roughly find a spot. Let's say this is 1.0738. And now, in order to find the exact spot, we need to make sure this point, this dot, is on tick marks. So right now, between 1 and 2, there are no tick marks. So we need to zoom in on this little section here to show the 1/10 tick marks. Okay, so from what we talked about in previous example, the 1/10 can be generated from dividing the 1 into 10 equal parts. So we are going to take this unit 1, so from here to here, that's 1 unit, and we're going to divide this 1 unit into 10 equal parts. But the problem is this little section, although I am able to do it, but it's going to be very small. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in, imagine we have a magnifier. We're going to make this highlighted yellow section bigger. How big? From here all the way to down here. So when we make it bigger, it's much easier to divide. Okay, so notice that this is going to be 1 and the right end is going to be 2. So we are focusing on this little section. So we copy down the labels for 2 tick marks, 1 for the left end, which is 1, 1 for the right end. Okay, so this is the right end right here. So now we're going to label our tick mark, new tick mark, the bigger version of this little yellow section here. And remember that the yellow section has the length 1 unit, and now we divide into 10 equal parts. So from here to here, it's the 1 unit. So this, and remember this from here to here is the same as that section here because it's just a bigger version. Okay, so if we take a 1 unit and divide into 10 equal parts, each of them is going to be 1/10 or 0.1. So we are able to label all of these 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, and so on. So I'm going to try to get rid of these and redo it. So this is a 1.1. Again, because this is 1/10 of a unit, which means it's 0.1. So that's 1.2 and 1.3 and so on. If you want to label all of them, you can. But you don't have to because we already know our number is going to fall in here. And how do we know that? If you look at the number in the ones place and the tenths place, it's 1.0. So it's bigger than 1.0, at least 1.0, but it's bigger because we have more digits. but it's all of these digits won't make a 1/10, so it's going to be less than 1.1. Okay, and again, because this highlighted section does not have any tick marks, we don't know where it is exactly. You can kind of guess because it's 1.07, so it should be closer to 1.1, but we don't know where it is exactly. So you can just put it anywhere you want, but a better guess is closer to 1.1. Okay, so don't forget this point right here is for the number. So don't put it at 1 because the number we are plotting is not 1.0, it's 1.0. So this is, if I can, 1.0738. I'm going to highlight that interval there. Okay, again, we couldn't find the exact spot. It's because there are no tick marks between 1 and 1.1. But we can do that by zooming in this yellow section. So now we're going to make this yellow part this longer. Again, the left end is going to be the same as this one. That's the left end 1, but the right end is going to be 1.1. Okay, now we do the same thing. We are going to divide this little, so remember this yellow piece is 1/10, which is zoomed in, that's 1/10. And if we divide 1/10 by 10, we're going to get 1/100th. So each of this little section is 1/100th of a unit, and or you can say 0.01. So that tells us this is 1.01, 1.02, 1.03, and I think we do need to know where 1.07 is. So 1.04, 1.05, 1.06, 1.07. So here is 1.07. And notice the number is between 1.07 and 1.08. And so we know next one is 1.08, 1.09, and 1.1. So we know the number is between 1.07 and 1.08. Again, because there are no tick marks on this little yellow part here. So we can only guess where it is roughly because it's 1.073. 3 is less than 5, so it's not halfway through yet. And so it's a little to the left of the middle point. Okay, so we found the spot for the number. Finally, we are going to look at 1.073. So this is going to be between 1.073 and less than 1.074. So this, again, since we zoom in this section, so the left end will be 1.07. This one is moved down here, and this right tick mark is moved down here because this section is zoomed in. And if we divide, and again, if we divide, and remember, this little yellow piece has a length of 100th. And if we cut it into 10 equal parts, 100th will be reduced down to 1/1000th. So this little section is 1/1000th, or you can put 0.001. And so that tells us the labeling should be 1.071, and this is 1.072, and 1.073, and so and 1.074. And you can continue to label this, but because I know the number is between 1.03 and 1.074, and we don't really need to know the labeling of the rest of it. So we know the number is going to be somewhere between them, because we have 8 in the next place, so it's going to be closer to 1.074, a little to the right of the middle point. Okay, so finally, so I do need to add another number line here. So finally, we are going to zoom in this yellow section here and make it this long again. So that tiny piece here becomes this long. So we can continue to do our cutting. And the left end is going to be this 1.073, and the right end is going to be 1.074. I'm sorry, yeah, then it's 74. Okay, so because this little yellow section, which again is this long section here, has a length of 1/1000th, and when we divide 1/1000th by 10, we're going to get 1/10,000th, which is 0.0001. Okay, so now we can label these. We add another decimal place, the 1/10,000th. So we add 1.0731. This would be 0.732, 1.0733, and the next one will be 34735, and 736, 737. That would be 1.0738 right here. So I'm not going to label all of them, just going to label some of them. And notice that this time we didn't have to guess where it is. We found the exact tick mark for 1.0738. So that's when we can stop. And notice that if you have trouble figuring out what you should label each tick mark, so that's why you do first. You figure out, and technically the first one, if you want to skip, if you don't want to do this one, you may skip this one. So that's why originally I only had 4 of them, but because it's between 1 and 2, and you can go ahead and start from the number line with the left end 1 and the right end 2. So if you want to start from this one, it should be okay. And then this generates this generates that, and this generates that. So in order to figure out the tick marks, the labeling for the 2 long tick marks, the 2 long ones, and you just need to figure out the numbers between which 2 whole numbers, which 2 tenths, which 2 hundredths, and which 2 thousandths. So that way we'll give you the these, and notice that they match. You see 1 and 2, that's 1 and 2, and 1 and 1.1. Well, you can say 1.0 and 1.1, and 1.07 and 1.08, and 1.0734 and 1.0773 and 1.074. So that can kind of help you to label each number line and label the long tick marks on each number line, and then you figure out where they are exactly. Of course, you have to do the dividing part